a chair. That's the good news. Because welcome, it's chair yoga class. So this chair for me, and this is one of those things like when you order furniture off the internet, it might be good to actually go somewhere and try the chair because it's just a tiny bit tall for me. So I have to slide a little bit forward to get my feet all the way onto the ground. So you just want to sit in your chair so that your spine can hold itself up without a lot of work from your abdominals. Doesn't feel like you're leaning back or leaning forward. It feels kind of nice and easy. So just find the spot on your chair where that works, where your feet rest on the floor. And then you can rest your hands, like you can cup one hand inside the other. You can put your palms down or up on your legs. Or if you've got arm rests on your chair, you could rest your arms on that. That would be all right too. And so sit in the chair so that you're upright. Rest your arms so that the shoulders relax. And then we're just going to pause and take some deep breaths. Try to relax a little bit through your face. I'm trying to kind of unknit any tension between my eyebrows, letting the temples relax. Let the orb of the eye itself kind of slide backwards a little into the skull. Those muscles behind the eye relax. Relax the lips and the jaw. And notice the shoulders again. If there's any sense that they're sort of lifting up toward your ears, just try to let them go. Find your weight balanced on each butt cheek pretty evenly. And then spread out your fingers and your toes and let them relax. Just for a few moments, sort of follow the breath with your mind, feeling the inhale come in, and you might notice it first right at the tips of the nostrils. Notice the difference in texture between the inhale and the exhale. And you might notice it at the rise and fall of the chest or the abdomen. How it sweetly adjusts your rib cage. Lets it come on back. How the inhale seems to have a kind of lifting quality in this particular regard because of the way it moves the ribs. The exhale has kind of releasing quality to it. Now, taking the awareness instead to the deep belly and the pelvic floor. Maybe contrasting the experience and noticing how the inhale here feels like it drops down. And the exhale lifts up. Same breath with 3 different contrasting experiences based on where we notice. There's probably a good life metaphor in there about perspective, but we'll just take another deep breath and allow you to sit with that. All right, So we're gonna work the neck, and we're gonna focus on a muscle that connects the collarbone to the skull, just behind the jaw, and then the shoulder blade to the skull, right at the back, like ridge of the skull. So as we move the neck, we're gonna look for these muscle areas. So we're gonna start by just letting the chin fall, and just automatically notice, does it feel like it sort of pulls your shoulder blades up with you when you do that? And allowing the shoulder blades to relax, just notice that any tension that might exist already, you know, having both sides even. Then we're gonna kind of let the head roll over to the shoulder until we feel this stretch right through the front here. And we'll roll back a little bit away from the stretch and then into the stretch. And back a little bit away from it, be really sweet and kind here, and then into the stretch. And then we're gonna look for the spot that feels like we just begin to feel the stretch. And then we're gonna take this collarbone and pull it away a little bit. You can even reach your arm out if that's helpful. One more big breath there. Now we're going to come back after the muscle that wraps around the other side. So we're going to let the head roll back toward the front here, but a noticeable diagonal to the side. So I've got my head moving to the left so that my right side of my neck is stretching. So finding this stretch between this bone right here on the back of the skull and down to the shoulder blade. And again, we're going to kind of come back a little and then go into it. Come back just a little bit so the stretch lightens up, and then come back into it, letting the forehead roll forward. Okay, one more. So we're gonna make sure we're not slouching, and then let the head roll forward, and then we're gonna take that shoulder blade and draw it down and towards the right, so, or whichever side, but towards the stretchy side. And then hold it there and breathe. Okay, take one more breath. And then we're going to let the head kind of come back to the center where we began, and just notice if there's a difference on the back of the neck here. Float your head up and see if there's a difference in general. Does the shoulder feel a little different in relationship to the neck versus the other side? Sometimes it feels like my shoulder's a little lower. Today it feels broader, so not, maybe a little bit lower, but mostly it feels like my shoulder sticks out more on this right side than on the left. So just notice the sensation. This is, again, just feedback from the tissue to my brain, and then I'm interpreting it. Probably if I measured, it wouldn't be that different. All right, so we're gonna drop the chin again, and just notice if anything shifted, and then we're gonna let the head kind of roll to the side, and we're looking for the point where we feel that stretch right there on that front side of the neck. Let go of it a little bit, roll back into it a little bit. Be kind to this shoulder. Try to keep the shoulder relaxed. Leave a little space there for your head to be in place. Okay, so we're going to find the stretch, so I'm rolling away, and then I'm going to come back till I just feel the inkling of it, and then I'm going to draw that collarbone down. So I'm adding on, but I don't want to add on to the point where it's so intense. I want to add on right at the point where I feel it. So the intensity is appropriate. The neck is an area that demands our respect. There's a lot of nerves that come out of this back of our skull through these areas that we're working with here. Our goal is to make space for those nerves, not to pinch them. So we're going to take one more big breath here. And then we're going to release the collarbone a little bit. We're going to let the head come forward until, again, we find the stretch on this corresponding muscle in the back. I'm going to let my head kind of move to the diagonal, and then I'm going to move it slightly away. And move it into the diagonal. Noticing any sensation. Now sometimes for me, this side is not as intense, so I don't feel as much stretch. So That could be true for you in general. So I'm going to let my head move to this diagonal now, and I'm going to take that shoulder blade and draw it down and out. And now I do feel some stretch there, and I'm going to, again, moderate my intensity. So I feel it, but not too much. Okay, one more breath there. So I'm going to bring my shoulder blade back a little, and then I'm going to let my head come back to the center, and then just noticing, did a shift occur? Let the head float up, and notice if any shift occurred otherwise. So maybe there's a shift, maybe there's not, maybe there's not a lot of feedback at all. In some ways, I think it depends on how much we reinforce those neural pathways by paying attention. Maybe most of the time, especially if this is an area that causes us pain, we have to dull some of that feedback so that we can go through a daily life. So if this is an area for you that does cause some pain and discomfort, just know that over time, as you kind of contact these muscles with your awareness, you might get more feedback over time. Okay, so we're going to hang the arms. We're going to lift the shoulders up so that we get them as close to the ears as possible, and then we're just going to let them drop softly. Okay, so not abrupt, or not forcefully, but just stop holding them up. Lift them up and then don't. Lift them up and then don't. Okay, so now we've got a little sense of that. We're going to roll the shoulder, as big a range of motion as we can. So we're trying to let the shoulder blades touch. We're going to see if we can scoop the shoulders so far forward that we almost bring the collarbones together. Right? It's not going to really work out that way, but we're going to just let them move as big a range of motion as they will. You get to the bottom, go the other direction. And so now we're involving the whole upper back, the top of the shoulder, a little bit of the chest. So we've got a little bit more muscle going on than just the neck. And again, you might notice, like, are there places today that feel a little bit stiff or tight from the position you've been in during your morning or from sleeping? Okay, so we're going to let the arms dangle. We're going to take one arm at a time. I'm going to start with my right arm. And we're going to take this arm through a range of motion, as big a circle as it'll let you go. And whatever direction it moves in is fine. Okay, and when you get around to the back, we're going to go the opposite direction. Okay, one more. And now we're going to take a sort of medium-sized circle, and we're going to start with the palm facing forward. Then we're going to shift it so the palm faces up. We're going to face the palm down. And then finally, we're going to shift it so that the thumb points down. Now go the opposite direction, thumb down, palm down, palm forward, palm up. Good. Shake that arm out. Contrast your two arms. Does one feel different than the other? One feels longer for me. All right, let's try the other side. So we're going to do a nice big circle. And just whatever range of motion is allowed, given the circumstances. Go the opposite direction. One more, and then we're going to do this kind of medium-sized circle, palm facing out to begin with, and then palm up, palm down, thumb down. Does it, you feel different muscles as we do that? Go the other direction, thumb still down, palm down, palm forward, and then palm up. I can definitely feel a difference. And then shake that arm out. And then see how that went. Now, are both of your arms equally long? So we're going to spin the wrists in circles. hopefully as we go here, we're kind of releasing tension from all of these little body parts. So we're going to spread the fingers out really wide, and then curl the fingers in nice and tight. Spread them out really wide. Curl them in nice and tight. Stretch them out really wide. A little wider, tiny bit wider. Through these 3 fingers on the end, can they go any wider? And then curl them in nice and tight. We're gonna lace the fingers together and do these little waves with the wrists. So the one wrist goes up and then the other wrist goes up. Don't think about it too much. Just do your best. Switch directions if you can. All right, so then we're gonna take one hand pointed out like stop in the name of love, and we're gonna pull this hand back so we stretch the bottom part of the forearm here. Now, sometimes for me, a straighter elbow works better on this one, and then I'm gonna take my little thumb and stretch it backwards. Sometimes with the thumb, when we use the mouse too much or we use phones too much, we get some trickiness in the thumb, and it's actually coming from a muscle in the forearm. So drawing the thumb back helps lengthen that muscle as well. It may not be arthritis, it could be this muscle in your forearm. It could be arthritis. You should talk to a qualified medical professional. All right, so we're gonna drop the hand down. We're gonna give this top of our forearm a little stretch by drawing the hand back this way. Now, what happens for me is if I bend my elbow, it's a little bit better. I don't have to work the wrist as hard to get to that top of my forearm. Okay, shake that guy out. And then stop in the name of love on the other side. And again, I'm gonna hold kind of all my fingers. I'm working kind of from this knuckle area. Drawing the wrist back. Straighter arm for me works better. And then I'm gonna pull my thumb backwards. So I'm stretching that little muscle in my forearm. That can tighten up if I spend too much time on my phone texting peeps. What else? How else am I gonna keep in touch these days, y'all? You might be having similar issues. All right, so we're gonna drop the hand, stretch out the top, and again, for me, it helps to bend at the elbow. You can experiment with yourself, because everybody's a little different in the way our muscles and connective tissue are strung. Mostly the same, and also quite different. And then give it a little shake out. All right, so now hopefully our shoulders, our arms, our wrists, our hands, even our neck feel really great. So we're gonna do a little bit of face yoga while we're still in this kind of higher upper body area. So we're gonna stretch the face out as big as we can. It's called lion's face. You're gonna stick your tongue out, and it's not a roar. I mean, you can roar, but we're looking for a kind of like breathy exhale, okay? So big inhale, then exhale. And you can try to look down at the tip of your nose, but if that bothers your eyes, don't worry about it. So then after that, we're gonna squeeze the face in like we just tasted a really sour lemon. So lemon face and then lion face. I know it seems crazy, but try it, especially if you have any jaw TMJ issues. This can be really useful. Stick the tongue way out. Squeeze in. One more time, as big as you can stick your tongue out. Now, apparently, the muscles that control the tongue, if that gets tight and the muscle on the back of the tongue tightens up, or the muscles that control the tongue, they also then create tension in the jaw. And so if you suffer from like grindy teeth or TMJ or any of those kinds of things, you can also try working, along with whatever other therapies you've got, you can try working with kind of stretching your tongue out of your mouth and see if that provides a little bit of relief. Okay, so we've done the whole upper body, and hopefully that feels good. So now we're gonna come to the torso, and we're gonna focus a couple of different ways. So we're gonna start with this little cat cobra. So we're gonna open up the chest, pull the collarbones back. So that gives us that sense of like the hood of the cobra spreading out. And then you just take your little snake body, your pelvis and your back forward. So you get a little sense of that back bend. And then we're gonna round the back sort of like a cat on Halloween and try to curl the tailbone under a little bit. Okay, so push the pelvis forward, pull the collarbones wide, create that sense of the cobra, and then round your back and find the cat. I don't know that cats and cobras get along all that well in real life, but in this way, they get along really nicely. Curl back. Okay, one more time with the cobra. Really drawing the collarbones wider, and sometimes I even take the arms a little lower so I get a slightly different feeling on that, and then round it back into the cat, as round as you can get. I like the way that makes my middle back feel. All right, so now we're gonna sit up tall and do this little movement, which is, I call it the washing machine. It's just a really super loose twist. But if there is tension, like I was noticing tension in this kind of middle part of my back where my ribs go, this helps. That's the zone of the obliques. We're gonna keep rolling. 2 more. Last one. Now, whichever way you go, like whatever the next twist was gonna be, you're gonna pause there. So press the feet down into the floor. Make sure you're not leaning off of the sit bone. Just let the sit bone stay on the chair, and then spiral your spine as far around as it wants to go. We're gonna move the head from one shoulder to the other. So start by looking out over the shoulder that's in the front or near the front of the chair, and then turn your head to look over the shoulder that's closer to the back of the chair. Inhale one way, exhale the other. Without a strain, we just find the edge of that range of motion in the neck. Inhale. 2 more. Now bring your head to neutral. We're going to keep this little bit of a twist, and we're going to work the shoulder blades. So the right shoulder blade is going to move forward and up. Well, I turned left, so whatever the front shoulder blade is going to go forward and up. The shoulder blade closer to the back of the chair, that's going to go down and in. You're going to almost like you're trying to slide the shoulder blades right, one on top of the other. Okay, let it go. And then one shoulder blade in, the other shoulder blade up and out. Let it go. Don't try to over twist. Just see if you can isolate this movement right to the shoulder blades, so we're not trying to twist the lower part of the spine any more than it already is. Relax. One more time. One shoulder blade down, the other shoulder blade higher and up. Okay, let go. Now we're going to give our spine a little bit of a chance to recover. And I do just little rib movement back and forth, side to side. Just give it a moment to release. So we want to let the fluid in the spine come back to neutral before we do our other side. All right, feels pretty good. So there's a moment where I kind of feel a little bit of relaxation through the muscles in the spine. And then also I don't feel like I'm still twisting, and that's generally the time where I can come back to this other side. So I'm going to do a couple little washing machines, and then I'm twisting the opposite direction. So again, I want to make sure I'm not leaning off of my sit bone, so I'm going to settle the sit bones into place. I'm not overly restricting the pelvis, just let it come to the point where it wants to come, but if you notice you're lifting off, you're just trying to twist more than your spine allows you to go. So just twist the right amount. So we're going to take the head again and inhale, bring it forward towards the shoulder in the front. Exhale, take it back. Inhale, bring it forward towards the front shoulder. Exhale and take it back. Inhale, bring it towards the front. Exhale, take it around the back. We're going to do it one more time. Oh, it feels good. Inhale, front. And exhale, back. And then we're just going to bring the head kind of back to a more neutral position, wherever it feels like it's pointed over the breastbone. Now this shoulder that's closer to the front of the chair, that one I'm going to bring forward and up. This shoulder blade I'm going to bring in and down. Then I'm going to release it, adjust it, bring it in and down and forward and up, and then let it go. In and down, forward and up. I find this amazing. The muscles that live right under my shoulder blades in that center part of my back often get super tight. So if this is true for you too, you might take this one and put it in your back pocket, do it later too. One more time, squish that one shoulder blade in, the back shoulder blade in as close to the center of your back as it'll go, and then let it go, let the twist go. We're going to give ourselves a moment. Now, we're going to take the legs out wide, and then we're going to kind of turn so that one knee is kind of over the chair. Now, you can keep the knee bent, or you can straighten out this back leg so that it's more like a warrior two shape, right? So you just decide how your legs and your knees and the chair itself all work together. And then we're going to take ourselves through a reverse warrior and side angle pose. So I'm going to find my side angle pose first, And then that same alignment probably will work for my reverse warrior. So a little side angle, oh, feels nice. And a reverse. And a little side angle, oh, and a reverse. And a little side angle, and a reverse. Oh, that feels so good, y'all. Okay, we're gonna come to side angle and hold steady. And you can change the angles, just find the stretch that feels really good to you. Oh, that's so nice, yogis. I'm hoping you're liking it as much as I am. Taking one more big breath. Oh, coming on back, we're just gonna switch sides. So first I'm gonna, come to the center. Ooh, give everything a jiggle and feel it. Oh. It might be my favorite pose. I love side angle pose. And again, like all of the yoga poses are my children. I like them all equally. But some days, side angle is my favorite. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is find my side angle. And I just wanna find like the angle that works with my torso, my hips, right? So that I feel that. And for me, often slightly towards the back part of the chair. And then usually that same angle will work for my reverse, so I might have to switch it up a little bit. Oh, stretch it out and come back. And stretch it out. Oh, and come back. Oh, it's so nice. Stretch it out. We're gonna do one more little switch up and then we'll hang out with our side angle. Oh, give that guy a good long stretch. One more. All right, come on back. We're gonna come to the center. We're gonna leave the legs out a little wide and we're gonna fold forward if we can. So folding forward might be that far. Maybe your elbows can go down. Maybe your hands can come to the floor. Keep your spine nice and long. For me, elbows is good because the front of the chair is a little bit high. I've got short legs, y'all. Short body in general. Although technically I'm of average height. I grew up in a family of Amazons, so I feel short. Take in one more breath and come in all the way forward. So we're gonna bring our legs around. We just have to work the legs a little bit. So we're gonna do a little rock the baby hip opener. So it turns into kind of a pigeon. So grab hold of your leg, and if you can't hold your leg, just rotate on your big toe. It'll work out, and I'll give you some alternatives. If you can hold your leg, great. Hold it. Just rock your baby back and forth a little bit. Then we're going to cross the ankle over the top of the thigh here. Sit up nice and tall. And then that might be plenty. If you already feel a stretch through this part of your thigh, your hip, anywhere in this area, you're there. You can even feel it in your inner thigh because the muscles have a reciprocal relationship. If you don't feel anything, you can certainly tilt forward. You can go all the way forward until you put your leg behind your head if you want to, but I don't recommend it. If you flex the foot and keep the shin bones lined up, it will be less problematic for your knees. So if you have knees that are really sensitive, flex your foot. Make sure that toes are pointing, in the right direction. The shin bones are nicely even, they're not twisting, and that'll help keep your knee happy. If there's any pressure in your knee though, back off. Now, if this doesn't work, put your ankle across the opposite ankle, so you've got one ankle crossing the ankle instead of up on the thigh. Okay, so we're gonna let this leg come up. We're gonna hold the back of the thigh. We're gonna extend the leg so we can get a little hamstring action. Let it come back, hug it in, extend it out. Let it come back, hug it in, extend it out, pause right there, spread out your toes. Let the leg bend, move your foot through a little circle. Other direction. Point and flex. All right, then we're gonna release that leg. Whew. And do the other leg. So we're gonna pick our baby up, give him a rock. Give it a little hug. Put it across. We're going to sit up nice and tall. Lean into it if it feels appropriate. Lean back if it doesn't. Keep the shin bones lined up. 2 more breaths. We're going to come back, grab hold of the leg, and then we're going to extend the leg, bend the knee, hug it in, extend the leg, bend the knee, hug it in, extend the leg, bend the knee, hug it in, and then we're going to spin the foot. And go the other direction. And then point and flex. All right. Put that leg down. We're going to come back to our sitting up tall position and just see if there's a difference in the way the body feels having done this little 30-minute trip through our body, one pose at a time. Thank you so much for joining me for a little bit of lunchtime chair yoga. Nice big breath together. Big deep sigh. Hopefully I'll see you again next week. Namaste.